Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, two pilots landing in LAX reported their planes were buzzed by a guy wearing a jetpack.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Tommy Lasorda?
No, I was not thinking
of
Tommy
Lasorda.
I'm gonna mention two names I know you're familiar with. George Jetson and Elroy. They wore jetpacks when we were kids. You were a teenager, I was a little kid. That was jetpacks. You say jetpacks, I'm thinking the Jetsons.
So that accurately predicted the future, doesn't it? And now there are these dopes who actually get these things on their backs and fly around at an airport. The worst possible place you can do that, considering the traffic in the air. Absolute
not
insanity.
sorta. Come on now, not sorta.
No. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Rockets get by the Thunder. Giannis goes down 0-2, and Leonard Fournette joins Tom Brady and the Bucks. But we begin today with the surprising hire of Steve Nash by the Brooklyn Nets to coach their team, even though Nash has never coached anywhere. Nash was a great player, and he and Kevin Durant are close. It's also being reported that Kyrie Irving supports Nash's hiring. Wilbon, the Nets are expected to contend for the championship starting next season. Does this hire seem risky to you?
Yes. Look, you know how I feel about Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash. Steve Nash is one of probably my 25 favorite players of all time, forever and ever. That's how much I loved watching Steve Nash, which I got to do a lot in person in Arizona. My son woke me up this morning and said, "Dad, you won't guess who Brooklyn hired." I could have gone 400 guesses before I got to Steve Nash. But let me just say this, Tony.
Chance.
And it does seem risky. In New York, where there are expectations, he's got one difficult dude to deal with, Kyrie, who he calls Kai, which is interesting. But let me just name some guys who walked out of a booth or off the street and coached and did pretty darn well. Pat Riley, Doc Rivers, Steve Kerr, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Mark Jackson. And I mean, these are guys who had some degree of success, a couple of championships in there. So maybe I need to back off. I was so shocked. I love Steve Nash, but I'm just thinking, what impressed them so much that they went, yep, we want Steve Nash?
Yeah, this is sort of unbelievable to me. I mean, he just got into an elevator on the top floor. I mean, the last time we saw Steve Nash, he was commenting on television about European soccer. Soccer.
That's right.
Not about basketball. Two of those people you mentioned are very interesting to me. One is Steve Kerr. I got notes here. Steve Kerr took over a 51-win team, which is a lot of wins, and went to 67 and a championship in his first year.
Took over Mark Jackson's team, yeah.
Larry Bird took over a 39-win team, went to 58 in his first year and a conference final by his third year, which was the last year he coached. He was in the NBA finals. But then there's also Magic Johnson, who didn't like coaching and walked away from coaching.
That's right.
What I would worry about with Steve Nash, honestly, is what if he doesn't like it? What if it doesn't suit him? I don't worry about the big city stuff.
I'm
not sure about Kyrie Irving. I'm not sure. But Steve Nash can honestly look him eye to eye and say, I was an MVP twice. So you got to listen for a little while. Again, Mike.
Fascinating.
Totally out of the blue. I never would have picked it.
No,
I wouldn't have picked it.
I couldn't. There are people out there, Tony, with stripes, right? Earned. And you can say, I'm going to hire that guy. But you know what? Look, the Steve Kerr situation worked like a charm. Now, that team was already propped up. I mean, Steve Nash is kind of starting from scratch with this. And obviously, Pat Riley.
No, you're not starting from scratch if you have Durant and Kyrie.
No, but
you're
I mean,
not starting from
putting
scratch.
it together. You got the ingredients, but you got to make the soup, right? This is wow.
So I guess just to clarify, I guess it's not Pop. I guess it won't be Pop,
not.
who you thought it might be.
I guess maybe Pop didn't even answer the phone for them. He might have just said, well, what are you talking about?
Okay.
On the court, the Rockets squeaked by the Thunder in last night's Game 7. I thought I had you and Charles for most of it. I really did. James Harden's defense saved Houston because he blocked Lou Dort's go-ahead 3 attempt with fewer than 5 seconds to play. Harden also saved himself from a ton of heat because he shot 4 for 15 from the field. Tony, did Harden's defense make up for his offensive struggles?
Just let me go back for a second because I want to clarify something. Didn't you pick Oklahoma City?
I did.
And didn't you say that Barkley and I were fools?
No, I didn't
for
say
picking.
That. No, I just said you were going to be
you
wrong.
said you would ring our phones at 2 in the morning. Yes, you did.
I wanted a trip to Chicago
fools.
cut out of it. And now I got to treat
so I
Charles.
just want to make sure that we're on the same page on that. Now, Harden's play won the game. He was terrible on offense, 4 of 15 in a game 7. 4 of 15,
Only 15,
which is particularly awful. He jumps up to make this block, and if he fouls them, they're going to lose the game. He doesn't foul him. I would say to you that no questions were answered about James Harden in a game 7. No questions. But he won the game, Mike. He made the play. He won the game.
I'm going to disagree with you about this. Questions were answered. Tony, the job is to win the game. And James Harden has evolved to the point, first of all, 4 or 5 seasons ago, and I was covering James Harden in one of these big games, could have been a 6, could have been the game 7, and a guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame said to me, and I quote, Harden doesn't even try on defense. He doesn't even try, all right? This is an equal, just so to speak, maybe not in terms of point score, but an equal in the league. And I paid attention to that for a while. And I know this same player came back to me and said, listen, I know what I told you 4 years ago. He's trying now. This was 2 years ago. Last year sort of down, this year's defense back up. Tony, here's why game 7 questions answered. Because when he wasn't playing well at the signature thing he does, he found another way to help his team. In the biggest moment, and he only took 15 shots, which means he didn't need to take 40 to find out he wasn't on. He moved the ball. He set screens. He played defense. He helped his team. I got nothing but praise for James Harden today. Nothing but.
So this is interesting to me.
I thought Oklahoma City was a still win that game. If Chris Paul hits that little shot in the lane to put them up 1, Houston would have had all the pressure. I would have bet everything I have that Houston would have lost. But they didn't lose. They won in Harden's why.
Let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
Because this is interesting to me in this regard. You slammed Harden for a lot of years. Now you're praising him for only taking 15 shots. Mike, he's an MVP in the league. And I said he won the game.
Right.
He's an MVP in the league. He was the 4th leading scorer on his team in a game 7. And I'm going to tell you that's inexcusable. He won the game.
Right.
But that's no good. Miami.
But Tony, at least he realized he didn't have it going and he didn't keep chucking it, which has been the Houston way. By the way, how many games are they going to get off the Lakers? How many games are Houston going to get off the Lakers? Will Houston get?
1, 2 at the most. 1, 2 at the most. Because although they were 2-1 against the Lakers this year and the only team in the West with a winning record against the Lakers, LeBron didn't play in one of those games. Anthony Davis didn't play in one of those. Who's going to guard Anthony Davis when they start a lineup of everybody 6'4"? 1 or 2. Let me get to Miami.
Okay.
Miami beat Milwaukee for the 2nd straight time last night. The game was tied on Miami's final possession. Jimmy Butler, your boy, went up from the left corner for a 2-point shot, which missed. The ball was out of his hands when Giannis Antetokounmpo put his hand on Butler's rib cage and was called for a foul. Butler won the game on free throws with no time left. Wilbon, are you okay with that foul call deciding the game?
No, I don't like seeing those calls. I'm from the old school of you let that go.